Good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to call the Mental Health Recovery Services Board Trustee Meeting, May 19, 2026, to order. And if we can begin with the next agenda item, which is the roll call.
Ms. Bell,
Present.
Mr. Albright,
Present.
Mr. Arnold,
I'm here.
Ms. Banks, Mr. Brown, Ms. Carter,
Here.
Ms. Crockett,
I'm here.
Dr. Elhai, here, Ms. Friedman,
Present.
Reverend Gordon,
Here.
Ms. Harding, here, Ms. Howe,
Here.
Mr. Lambert, Ms. Mendoza-Locke, Mr. Ortley,
Here.
Ms. Rodriguez, Mr. Salas,
Here.
and Major White, here.
We can move then to recognition of visitors. And Mr. Arnold, would you start us off, please?
Lieutenant Kelly Russell, please.
Amy Kurtmeyer, board staff.
Robert Kasperzak, board staff.
Wanda Royston.
Tina Layson, board staff.
Latrice Flowers, board staff.
I'm here. You're here.
Selena Stewart.
Kay Angela.
Janet Angela. Mary Markey.
And we have a new visitor that's joined us.
Alexandria Thomas Holland, Neighborhood Properties.
Welcome. Welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. Determination of items to be removed from the consent agenda. If any trustee would like something taken from the agenda, please indicate that. Trustee meeting minutes from April the 21st, 2026. Agenda item 6, trustee meeting minutes, priority services training and discussion from April the 28th, 2026. Agenda item 7A, from the P&O committee report from the May 5th, 2026 meeting. The treasurer's report from March fiscal year 26 financial statements. We're going to pull off agenda item 7B. We'll move on to consent agenda item 7C, fiscal year 27 proposed administration budget. 7D, Neighborhood Properties, Inc., Community Capital Application. Agenda item 7E, Planning and Oversight Charter Approval. 7F, Fiscal Year 27 Provider Agreement Approval. 7G, Fiscal Year 27 Subsidy Schedule. 7H, New Concepts Payment Withholding. Okay, is there any discussion about the consent agenda? If there is none, the chair will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda. So moved.
Second.
Okay, may we have a roll call, please, Wendy?
Major White,
Yes.
Mr. Salas,
Yes.
Mr. Ortley,
Yes.
Ms. Howe, Ms. Harding,
Yes.
Reverend Gordon,
Yes.
Ms. Friedman,
Yes.
Dr. Elhai,
Yes.
Ms. Crockett,
Yes.
Ms. Carter,
Yes.
Mr. Arnold,
Yes.
Mr. Albright,
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Motion carries. We'll first start with Jenny, who will present the agenda item 7B.
So this is the proposed allocations by agency for fiscal year 27, starting in July. This was discussed and approved at the Planning and Oversight Committee, and is just pulled because of conflict. So on pages 15 through 17 lists out the proposed funding for next fiscal year for the programs, and there are two motions on the bottom of page 14.
So if there's no additional discussion on those items, the chair will entertain a motion with respect to the motions that appear.
So moved.
Second.
You have to take them separately.
Okay, we'll start with the first motion, please. And may I accept the motion and the second, restricting it to the first?
So moved.
And the second, okay. Are we straight when you?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Is there, I guess there is no discussion, so we're ready to call for the vote.
Mr. Albright,
Yes.
Mr. Arnold,
Abstain.
Ms. Carter,
Yeah.
Ms. Crockett,
Yes.
Dr. Elhai,
Yes.
Ms. Friedman,
Yes?
Reverend Gordon,
Yes.
Ms. Harding,
Yes.
Ms. Howe,
Yes.
Mr. Ortley,
Yes.
Mr. Salas,
Yes.
and Major White.
Yes.
Motion carries. The chair will now entertain a motion with respect to the second.
So moved. Second.
Okay, and if we could have a roll call again, please.
Major White,
Yes.
Mr. Salas,
Yes.
Mr. Ortley,
Yes.
Ms. Howe,
Yes.
Ms. Harding,
Yes.
Reverend Gordon,
Yes.
Ms. Friedman,
Yes.
Dr. Elhai,
Yes.
Ms. Crockett,
Yes.
Ms. Carter,
Yes.
Mr. Arnold,
Yes.
Mr. Albright.
Yes.
Motion carries. We'll now move to agenda item 8. That's Elijah.
Yeah, good afternoon. If you turn to page 23, right in the middle is the start of this motion. So we, 2 fiscal years ago, we received the state opioid and stimulus response grant funding. And in our application, we proposed using it for 2 programs. Really, the purchase of service allocation and the mother-child dependency program by Mercy. This fiscal year, they just continued with the same funding for the same programs.
Oh, okay.
So, that's important. We recognize some underspending across all these both lines of business, the POS and the mother-child dependency program. So we petitioned the state to say, can we add some recovery housing to this? Historically, they've not allowed us to add a new program. But we didn't get the Ohio Department of Development money for recovery housing that we were hoping for. And so they allowed us to reallocate $200,000 from our underspending to 2 of our recovery housing programs that we work with.
Yay.
Yeah, so we're good, the motion here is to, there's 3 motions. So the mother-child dependency program, we're reducing their budget by $25,000. We're reallocating some of the funds from ZEP and putting them towards recovery housing to have a total of $175,000. And in the second motion, and the third motion is to approve an allocation of $50,000 with that underspending to Unison Health for their recovery housing.
I'm a little, say that please.
Yeah.
One more time.
If it's helpful, it's on the chart,
Yeah.
on the.
Yeah, I'm looking at the chart here.
Yeah, so you'll see there's a decrease in Mercy due to underspending.
Yep, I got that.
And then Unison is getting some of that underspending
Mhm.
for their recovery housing, and we're decreasing ZEF a little bit, partly to go to their recovery housing and then partly to go to Unison,
Okay,
for a total of $200,000.
okay.
I see that. Are there questions for Elijah? Just out of curiosity, what would have happened if the state had just said no?
We would have lost the opportunity to use those funds.
Okay.
Yes.
So there was lots of dancing and happy dances that
Yes.
took place.
Yes.
It solved a few problems.
Yes, for a segment of the community that was going to be in need as well as us as a board and an organization. So that's wonderful.
Yeah.
And creative to have thought to do that.
Yeah, so we're very fortunate. We're waiting on the final approval. There's a state system we have to put the application through and stuff. So you'll see that in the motion. But as soon as that's approved and with your approval, we'll be able to make those changes and update the contracts accordingly.
Is there any need to separate the motions, or can we take them
I think you can take a look.
collectively? Okay, all right. So the chair will entertain a motion for all three.
So moved. Second.
We're all excited. And any additional discussion? If there is none, then would you please do a roll call?
Mr. Albright,
Yes.
Mr. Arnold,
Yes.
Ms. Carter,
Yes.
Ms. Crockett,
Yes.
Dr. Elhai,
Yes.
Ms. Friedman,
Yes.
Reverend Gordon,
Yes.
Ms. Harding,
Yes.
Ms. Howe,
Yes.
Mr. Ortley,
Yes.
Mr. Salas,
Yes.
and Major White.
Yes.
Okay, we're gonna move to agenda item 9, which is to look after some, with great excitement and pleasure, as well as pride, to continue our celebration of those that we were saluting and celebrating a few weeks back. Scott?
All right, well, I'm gonna take this one, but I'm not gonna do this sitting down because, you know, what we're trying to do is recreate the environment at the zoo. So, I'm gonna need a few animal noises over here, maybe a howl from the wolves. But, and some rain and maybe some breakfast would be all right. But anyway, it's all known now that our recognition ceremony got cut short, right? For unforeseen circumstances. So, we did not want, our final 2 awardees to go unrecognized publicly. And so we came up with the next best option is to essentially recreate the presentation of the awards here, in front of our board, in front of family and friends, and in front of the tens of people watching our live today. But the value is that this is being recorded, so it will be for posterity's sake. You'll be able to have this, and we're also going to be taking pictures like we were in the recognition ceremony, so that we can integrate these presentations along with the 5 others or 6 others? 5 others that we already took. So before we get into our presentations of the 2 awardees, we also felt we want to take the opportunity to recognize a person who is really integral to our CIT efforts. And as you know, we had a pretty expansive recognition of the 25th anniversary of our CIT. But Lieutenant Kelly Russell, who represents the Toledo Police Department, was unable to attend. So we wanted to just bring her up, present her a little token of our appreciation, and provide her the opportunity to be recognized in this venue and to say a few words. Lieutenant Russell is a very, very strong advocate of individuals with behavioral health disorders. And I dare say there's probably not a day that goes by that we don't have some level of a conversation with Lieutenant Russell related to an individual that she has encountered in her daily duties, and just 100% advocating for everybody to do what they need to do. So we want to recognize Lieutenant Russell, give you an opportunity to say a few words if you want.
Okay, thank you.
I wasn't wasn't expecting to say anything, so I'm a little ill-prepared on that.
But I was chosen as first responder last year, and I thank you all for that recognition. I didn't know I was going to get an award this year. I wouldn't have left the zoo early, but I had some people out in the community that needed me. But I really wanted to recognize my chief because I have education in this field, and I have a passion for helping those that are high utilizers of 911 services. Just to give you an idea of what I do, so a 911 call comes in, an officer might do a report. They'll refer that maybe to APS, Adult Protection Services, or ZEF for their responder unit. But you have to remember these people are sometimes really sick, and they're not going to answer the door for someone like in plain clothes. So then I'll do a follow-up visit. Obviously, I can't touch all those that need follow-up services, but I try my best and try to pick out who needs my services the most. An example, I had one on Colburn, knocked on the door, he let me in, and it's really about having that companionship and that trust. So you have to do repeat visits over and over again. And he had a gentleman that was taking advantage of him, exploiting him financially, emotionally. And instead of taking the gentleman to jail for a menacing report that we had, I was able to do kind of a co-responder approach and meet one of the recovery services substance abuse, without mentioning their names. I had them come out as a co-responder approach, and again, to get that trust of that person, and I was able to do a pre-arrest diversion. And with the last couple of weeks, I've tried that twice, and they're still in rehab and detox, so I'm very excited about that. So I plan on continuing that relationship with that particular substance abuse recovery center to come out with me when they can to get more people in those pre-arrest diversion situations. So that's kind of what I do. That's an example of one. There's several others, but I want to take up all their time to talk. So thank you again. Appreciate you guys.
Thank you, Lieutenant Russell. And it's clear that she lives, breathes, and eats this stuff, right? Saw her Saturday at the Dobby Walk. She was full uniform, and I said, "Hey, are you working the event?" She goes, "No, I'm registered." So she was taking time out of her weekend to just make sure that Toledo Police was recognized at the NAMI event and participating and supporting NAMI. So it was great to see you there. Thank you again. We're going to move on with our next award, and before we do, want to make sure that everyone, all the awardees and Lieutenant Russell, if you could please stick it out for the full event this time. We'd like to take a few pictures at the end. But before we get to Ms. Flowers, since my staff took some time to dig deep into the annals of the 25-year anniversary of CIT, we found a document that recognizes the first adult forensic task force and others who have contributed to the guiding and the development of the CIT model in Lucas County. And we would be very remiss if we did not at least recognize Mr. Arnold for his contributions to CIT over in the development. And our very own board member, Jesus Salas, who was on that as well. Did it a long time ago. There was some other goofball on that committee as well from Task, but we won't mention his name. Thank you. So let's go ahead and proceed with our next award.
Mental Health Professional of the Year. This award honors a mental health professional whose work reflects exceptional care, commitment, and compassion. They go above and beyond to support those they serve while actively working to reduce the stigma surrounding mental illness. Their presence creates a space for healing, growth, and recovery. They do not just provide services, they model what recovery looks like. Respected by colleagues and trusted by clients, they lead with integrity, professionalism, and a deep commitment to the well-being of others.
I nominated Sarah Gruner because she is an independent licensed social worker and an independent licensed chemical dependency counselor. I look at Sarah as like a person who's behind the scenes, but she bridges so many gaps, you know, with different programs, from mental health treatment programs to where I'm at the Cherry Street Mission Life Revitalization Center. It's just a big impact all around what she does.
She is always ensuring that programs have what they need for success. And a perfect example of this is when I first started last year, the food stamps were going to be cut. And Sarah, within 24 hours, mobilized a community response. That included getting a budget, that included doing shopping, mobilizing a team. We all got together at Danny's place and put together food baskets for residents in the community. Thankfully, that food stamps were not cut. However, this is just a perfect example of seeing a need and figuring out what to do, and getting that done within 24 hours was very impressive.
I really think her purpose is really to just help others. I can remember in November of 2025 when our community lost their SNAP benefits. And I saw her on the front line saying, and she sent out an agency email, and it stuck with me like to this day, because it actually made me emotional. It was like, the unison is where I want to be. I want to work with people like her. She said, you know, nobody in our community is going to not have nutritious food. We're going to figure this out. What do your clients need? And she was on the front line figuring it out with us. So, you know, that says a lot about a person and her character. I don't know if you know this, but she's very determined, and she's very ambitious, and she's firm. But there is no time that she judges anybody. She really is very transparent, and she's a safe place. And, you know, I appreciate that. My name is Tequila Smith, and I nominate Sarah Gruner for the Mental Health Professional of the Year Award.
My name is Sylvia Snyder, and I'm nominating Sarah Gruner for the Mental Health Professional of the Year Award.
Thank you.
You want us to hold that?
Can you hold it?
Yes.
Yes, I don't want to drop it. Okay.
I don't either, so I'm gonna put it over here.
Wow, this was, I didn't have an opportunity to see this, the nomination videos all the way through, because I think we were like halfway through the videos and they asked us to leave. But I think that gives me a really good opportunity to speak to those SNAP benefits and what we did at that time, because I didn't do it alone. So I really want to take an opportunity to share about Unison and how proud I was to work there during this time. First, I wish that Sylvia and Tequila were here so that I could thank them, but I will, they couldn't be here today. So I accept this award with a lot of gratitude, but also with a lot of humility, because nobody in the behavioral health space does this job alone. It takes teamwork, collaboration, but above all, it really takes community. And one of the clearest examples of that to me was when the SNAP benefits were going to be suspended. And so I think all of us thought that in the last minute that the state was going to come through, and like we wouldn't have to worry about this. They would come through with some sort of funding to fill the gap. And when it became clear that that wasn't going to happen, I remember very clearly thinking, like, we can't let anybody in our Unison community go hungry. They can't go without food. So SNAP benefits were set to be suspended on November 1st, which was a Friday. And I sent out an email late on October 29th for October 30th in the morning to leaders of all of our client-facing departments. And I explained the problem in the email, and I said, let's create a solution. And every person that I invited to that meeting rearranged their schedule so that they could show up. So, I mean, that's what collaboration looks like in our field. Dropping everything so that you can help. So I came to the meeting with an idea, but they came together with a plan. And I immediately took that plan to our CEO, Jeff DeLay, and our CFO, Stacy Lawson, and without hesitation, they said, how much do you need? And so by the end of that day, on the 30th, I had a group of leaders who had already volunteered for the next morning to go grocery shopping and then to pack care packages at Danny's place. We love this building. So we were able to use that facility to pack up 40 care packages for our residents so they would have food for at least the weekend. And then I had leaders who we were going to set up food pantries at every single one of our locations. And I had leaders actually taking time out of their day to clear out office space so that they could create a pantry. Because what I also did that day was I sent an email to the whole agency for a call to action to start a food drive the next morning. And they showed up. So the next morning, on October 31st, we had staff coming in to all of our locations with bags and boxes of food. But it didn't stop there. Their families came with carloads of food. So when I think about the Unison way and what we do, that's teamwork. You know, we show up for each other. But the response didn't stop there. The Mental Health Board made funds available for us in the community as well so that we could also help to address this crisis. So now it wasn't a Unison effort, now it was a community-wide movement. And that's what community and community mental health looks like. Because we can't do this alone. So when we think about all of the service providers, community leaders who come together, we can help support our community not only with all the services we provide, but also with humanity as well. And so, like I said at the beginning, I've never been more proud to work for Unison during this time, but I could not at all have done it alone. So I just really feel it's important to call out some of those leaders who helped and dropped everything to help. So it was Jeff DeLay and Stacy Lawson, Sylvia Snyder, Cassie Walker, Tiffany Hairston, Bree Scarberry, Megan Reinhart, Bill Emma Heiser, April White, Hannah Lucite, and Leah Rosenberg. Because their leadership didn't stop with them, the entire agency followed them. And that's how we were able to feed, in total, through these efforts, combined total with individuals and families, over 460 people we were able to help during that time. So I want to tell you just one short story. I won't stay up here too long. A short story about one of those families. So November 1st came, and on October 31st, we had our case managers and therapists calling our clients and saying, if you need food, we have food, come to us, we will help you. So that Friday on November 1st, there was a young woman who came to the Star location, and she said, my case manager called me, can you help me? And myself and April White were in the pantry, in the food pantry at the time. And she came in and she said, I have 5 kids at home. And we said, okay, what do you need? So we helped her pack up some bags of groceries. And as April and I were walking her out to her car and helping her with the groceries, she turned to us and she said, I didn't know how I was going to feed my kids tonight because I have to go to work and I didn't have time to go stand in line at a food bank. So when I think about why I do my job and why we all come here and do our job, it's because of that. Because we hope that we can help just one person. And in this case, I feel like we helped a lot of people. So I am so humbled by this award, but I really feel like I have to accept it on behalf of a larger community. And I really want to accept it for every single person who showed up and said yes when I said, can you please help me? So, thank you.
Well, we can't leave without your award.
Thank you.
Here, I'll hand this over to you.
Okay.
Thank you. Congratulations again. That's why she was picked Mental Health Professional of the Year. Our next presentation award recognition is, to introduce that is Miss Bettina Lacy.
Thank you. Youth Advocate Award. The Youth Advocate Award honors individuals who recognize the needs of young people and respond with purpose, presence, and consistency. They go beyond titles, serving as connectors, mentors, and trusted support systems. Through strong partnerships and youth-centered solutions, they bridge gaps, reduce stigma, and expand access to care. They don't just work with youth, they stand in the gap for them. Their influence shapes how young people are seen, supported, and empowered across our community. This award honors individuals whose impact is shaping the next generation. Thank you.
I love everything about Fonda. She's all about people and working with people and navigating them through systems. So her passion is working with youth and helping these young ladies figure out ways to be better in a society. She hosts lots of workshops, making sure that she's giving back. So outside of her being my friend, I look at her as a sister, and I just love seeing her thrive and do the things that she loves to do. She's authentic. She shows up as herself every time. It doesn't matter whether she's in a boardroom or she's at a library or she's with girls, educating them on how to, walk in society, right? Fonda is approachable. When you are able to kind of let your hair down, most people authentically like to gravitate to that. Her programs are in the city of Toledo, and she's always partnering with other organizations that are also doing some of the same work. So if the missions align, she gives back a lot, rather it's hosting, I know one of her events is where you can come and get clothes and shoes and, a meal. Those are the things that she typically does. I know that she's always trying to, as I say, teach one, reach one. So she's trying to give back to make sure that those young ladies don't get lost in the system. So I know everything is purpose driven. So she's walking in her purpose, and that is why she's able to move forward and motivate other people in this space as well. I had a patient, so as you know, I work with sickle cell patients. I had a patient that really needed a lot of guidance, a lot of resources and things, housing, all of those things. I was able to call Fonda, and she helped my young girl navigate the system. Even though we had a lot of challenges, Fonda had all of the patience to help her navigate, to help her see outside of herself in the situation, and Fonda held her accountable on a lot of these things. But I appreciate that, because where I felt like I felt short with this patient, she was able to help me navigate and redirect the situation. If there's a need, she's gonna make sure that she's helping that person as best as she can. So if you decide to put this in the clip, I wonder what color her hair is today, because we all know that Fonda loves to change her hair. I feel like her hair is a part of her personality, it's a part of who she is. And that's one of the things I enjoy. I love seeing what the style is for today. How is she showing up? We know that she's always gonna be authentic, and she's always gonna, show up and support the youth in every way that she can. But more importantly, Fonda's Fonda. She's a transformative leader, and it doesn't matter what space she's in, she is going to be Fonda. So I'm Dr. LaShardae Scott, and I nominate Fonda Royster for Youth Advocate of the Year Award.
Now, if y'all take pictures, get my good side, okay? She messed me up, y'all. Wasn't expecting all of that. First, to start off, in my pastor's voice, I ain't gonna be before you long. Yeah, if you know, you know. But no, seriously, I know what space I am in, but I have to say, if it was not for God, Jesus, I would not be here. He is the best person that can make something out of nothing. Secondly, I'm gonna give a shout out to the Mental Health Board. You guys were one of the first, if not the first, funders for us. a lot of times I have been labeled as being aggressive. I ain't aggressive, I'm assertive. But I want to give a snippet of why, and I make no apologies about it, but I want to give a snippet of why. When you see a child that has been placed here, there, everywhere, with the majority of unsafe people, please see my face. I still have physical scars many years later from being in them homes. When you see a child that seems to always be under the influence, why they always high? Because nobody wants me. Please see my face. When you see a child that does not go to school consistently, please don't think they don't want to learn. I was the dirty kid. I didn't know where my next meal was going to be. I didn't know who was going to have to lay on me. Please see my face. There are no problem children. I hate that term. There are children that need to be redirected. In '94, the end, I remember I just got tired of just being out in the streets. I got tired of making negotiations. Well, if I do this, will you give me this? And I went to my aunt's house. And kids, please don't expect kids to just say, listen, I'm homeless, I ain't got no place to stay. They're gonna be angry. Because people were saying Fonda fighting, and I was. Fonda drinking, and I was. 90% of what they said I was doing, but nobody asked me, yo, what's going on with you? Not what's your problem, what's going on with you? And I'm gonna rush through it. I went to her house hoping for comfort. Instead, they said, let's take you someplace. I said, where? We going someplace? All righty then. They took me to a detention. Now I'm in this circle. Y'all seen Intervention, the show Intervention? So they got me with a whole bunch of strangers telling me how bad I am, telling me how I'm messing up, telling me how I'm a bad influence on my peers. But nobody asked me, what's up? What's going on with you? My aunt, she was here the first ceremony. She was living in New Jersey at the time. And nobody down here wanted me. She called them. And you know, they tell you the bad stuff first. She said, I want my baby. I got on the phone with her. She said, nah, it's going to be hard work. Da, da, da. I'm like, I don't care. Just get me out of here. I'll do whatever you want me to do. And when I went to New Jersey, I can let my hair down in a sense. I could be a kid. I don't think you understand how it feels when you got to stay up at night. Because you can't take a chance of being violated. But I remember she said, this is not your forever. And that's one thing I always say at any space I'm in with these kids. This is not your forever. And the whole point of me bringing up my aunt, who I refer to as my mom, don't ever think it makes no difference when you empower one kid. I had hundreds of adults telling me what I did wrong, and had one person say, I see value in you. And if it wasn't for her, y'all would not be saying, oh, this chocolate fine right now. Seriously. So don't ever be intentional with speaking with a young person, especially the one that's up here acting all crazy. That's just hurt. It's just hurt. So again, I didn't mean to do all that. Y'all got me mushy like James Brown. I appreciate this because it also it confirms for me, I don't have to look like everybody. I don't have to talk like everybody. I don't have to be a robot. I can be me and still make an impact. So I thank you.
It was my pleasure at the first portion of our celebration to welcome everyone.
and it's also my pleasure to close us out. At the opening, I said how thrilled I was to see so many people who thought our celebration of those who work to fulfill the needs of our stakeholders, of our community, and to make a difference with those who have mental health and substance use issues come together, and that it spoke volumes and showed that we work as a community, that no one person is responsible for all that we do. And I also mentioned that we were there to celebrate excellence, pure excellence. And that continued over on today. And if we had not had the opportunity to celebrate the two of you, the excellence that moves this community, that makes this community successful, that helps our stakeholders and all of those that we are intended to serve, would have been missing two key components. So thank you all for coming today. Thank you for all you do. And we celebrate and applaud the two of you along with the others that we celebrated in the first portion of the celebration. Thank you.
But you do have a director's report coming. With your permission, Cheryl.
Absolutely, please.
I just have a few things quickly, and then we'll move to open session and then pictures. Did want you to know that, and I think probably most of you may be aware that there was a fire at St. Paul's Community Center a couple weeks ago. It was a small fire, but nonetheless, they had to relocate their residents to Cherry Street, which they were able to do. Kudos to Cherry Street and St. Paul's for collaboration, support from the homelessness board. We authorized an emergency allocation of $25,000 to help support their move, their insurance gap, the damaged equipment, needs of the residents as they move from one place to the other. As required by our policy and law, the first opportunity I meet with you guys, I have to disclose that, and it will need to be reflected in the minutes of the meeting. There's nothing for you to do about it, but statutorily I'm responsible to let you know we made that donation. So just an update on where they're at. Their renovations are progressing nicely, but no one is still able to occupy their individual rooms. They have moved to what we call the winter crisis model, and essentially that's cots in their dining room. And they can house somewhere around 20 to 30 in those cots. And so that's what they're doing. They will let us know when they'll open for final. But they are still taking donations, and if anybody's so inclined, you can just go head over to their website and follow the instructions there. So there's that. The commissioners advertised for new trustees last month to make their appointments. The response was to be presented back to the commissioners May 5th. However, but the application process is open 365, 24/7. If you know somebody that may have missed the deadline, please just get it into them. And I'm sure they'll be open to consideration. Also sent state applications to the 3 renewals and the 1 potentially new appointment. If you haven't turned in those applications,
I know, I just
heard you say it. Go ahead and get that done.
Yeah.
Because it is taking a little longer for appointments to be processed through the state these days. Some other good news, Safety Net, ZEP runs what's called Safety Net. I don't know if you know everything about Safety Net, but it is the only youth shelter in the Northwest Ohio region. It is their 10-year anniversary. And they are throwing a little backyard party on Thursday, the 21st, from 5 to 7. Everyone's invited. They'll have some light food, some refreshments, and some games and some youth resources. And just as a reminder, this board was on the ground floor of initiating the startup of Safety Net with a bit of a, I guess, a little bit of a fiscal, financial challenge to other community members saying, hey, we got money, let's go, it's time to stop talking and get working on this. So they've been operating 10 years. And they've done a great job of gathering other funding, federal funding. It's always a challenge, I know, with continuation funding and stabilizing that funding. Lucas County has had a history, ebb and flow of maintaining a youth emergency shelter. But we're looking at 10 years of quality operations right now, and we'll take it. So congratulations to Seth. Two other things just quickly. We've established a priority populations and services working group consisting of 5 trustees who were invited or identified a willingness to serve and 4 staff. If you were approached about joining, please, and haven't responded, please respond. That group is going to work virtually. Their first meeting is scheduled this week. I believe it's Thursday. And it will be facilitated by Dr. Gillette. While Elijah is the lead for that, I'm sure they'll be looking at the information that you identified in the last exercise regarding values and distilling those down to an appropriate number, as well as starting the work on prioritization of populations. Just wanted you to know that those things are moving forward. Finally, our Planning and Oversight Committee will meet on the 2nd, executive nominating scheduled for the 9th. This one will not be rescheduled. Thank you for your flexibility in the May meeting. And then the board meeting will be on June 16th. For your summer planning, we do not meet in July. So the next meeting after July would be on August 4th, and that would be our Planning and Oversight. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Open session. Yes, Mr. Arnold.
A lot going on at Government Center. I'll try to be brief. County commissioners met this morning. They gave the Sheriff's Department permission to apply for something called, I'm going to get this wrong, COSIP funding. That stands for Comprehensive Opioid Stimulant and Substance Abuse Site-Based Program, whatever that is. It would be for $1,264,686 over the next 4 years, and there are no matching funds needed. I hope they get that. And on a positive note, they're going to reappoint a bunch of people to the Levy Review Committee. Among them would be Tom Sousa. If you guys don't know him, he's been there since the beginning. He knows a lot about mental illness and substance abuse. I did ask the county commission, is he still going to be the chair? They said, yes, he's agreeable to it. So, and I see some familiar names here for reappointments. Jesus Salas will be reappointed, Michelle Klinger, Candace Buckley, Evan Morrison, Tracy Perriman, Debbie Frizon. So my understanding is in the month of June, they'll have 2 meetings. The first one will be just kind of a get together and to appoint their new chair. And the second meeting, they'll be looking at Imagination Station, which to the best of my knowledge is the only levy on the November ballot. I don't know what they're asking for, but given what's going on in Columbus, this takes on renewed meetings. So they will meet twice in the month of June. I'll let you know more about that. Just came from City Council. My head is still spinning. It's about a 50-50 split on what to do with gas stations. About half of them want to put a moratorium on them, and about half of them do not. Where they stand right now is they debated it. They went back and forth, and both sides made their points. But they see is over an abundance of gas stations here. And every time they have an application, it's the same argument from the community. Well, we don't want those mentally ill homeless people hanging around. So They will have a meeting of their zoning tomorrow, and they'll discuss this openly with their director there and make a decision. Well, no, they won't make a decision at that time. It is on the agenda to be voted on next Tuesday. Even if they don't want to, they can just go ahead and go first reading. But at some point in the near future, we're going to see some activity on gas stations. What some of them want is a moratorium until November the 30th, and they actually gave themselves a back door. They also want the Plan Commission to study the issue, and they know perfectly well the Plan Commission is understaffed, and come November the 30th, they could say, hey, the plan's not ready, let's give us another 6 months. So you're going to see activity on that. And yes, they will be naming Wilmot, well, it's on the fast track, Wilmot Street for Kamani Lateeg, the 13-year-old that was murdered last year. I was at that meeting, and it was not easy to sit through. They had a group of people there, and they went into some pretty graphic testimony about this. So it was approved 4-1 by the committee, sent today to City Council, and they approved it. And no, they didn't approve it. They put it on the agenda for next week. So I'm looking for that. I hope it's on the fast track. Let me put it this way. I hope they don't do this during the trial of the man that's accused of this horrible crime. So I hope that's on the fast track. But it will be a designation for her at Wilmot Street and Miami Street. Very same meeting, they had a group of people that they're unhappy with the sign called Monsignor Jerome Schmidt Way. If you don't remember this, this is 1980 when Sister Margaret Ann Fail was murdered, and it was national news, and it took 26 years to bring Father Joel to trial, and there are accusations that he interfered with this. So they had the nephew of Sister Margaret Ann. He talked about what a wonderful person she was. And then they had some other people speak, and they spared nothing. They went into graphic detail about the stabbing on. So the members of the committee were just stunned, sitting there not knowing. And so they said, we'll defer it for a month, and we'll study it for a month. I'll be very interested to see how that comes out. But they believe that because of alleged interference in the investigation, that Monsignor Jerome Schmidt Way should be rescinded. I don't think I've ever seen that before. Okay, I wish I could tell you more. The Child Welfare Task Force has wrapped up. I am so glad. They've been meeting for more than a year now. If my understanding is correct, the lady that they're paying for this, I don't know her name, but she's got her work cut out for her. She's got to take a year's worth of testimony and put it together in a way so that it doesn't make certain people unhappy. I think you know who I'm talking about. Our federal government are just looking for reasons to retaliate and cut your funding. And they are concerned that the news media is going to twist it, and we might see an editorial in one of America's great newspapers. But over the next 30 days, she will put all this together. On the 16th of June, county commissioners will meet with Executive Committee of Children's Services Board and tell them, this is what we expect you guys to do. After that, there will be a press release. And then the time frame I have, on June the 30th, the county commissioners will officially vote on a very thick document with a whole lot of recommendations for Children's Services Board, how to make it more responsive. And I am certain there will be people that are not happy with this. But we'll see what happens. Last week, the Plan Commission met. I wish I could tell you more. They don't put much information here. The group home at 806 Nebraska, I don't know how many beds. I don't know who I don't know who the target population is, but this is Corey Savage, and it was approved at like 5 minutes of discussion. Now it goes to City Council. It's at 806 Nebraska. It's going to be a Class 2 group home. That's all I can tell you. And this is one for the books. I think I mentioned this. They want to put a burial, a graveyard for Toledo's Islamic community at 722 East Bancroft Street. A woman showed up, and this was her reason for opposing it. She says the bodies there will not be embalmed, and she is afraid that poses a health risk. Well, the members of the commission didn't know how to respond. So they said to the applicant, will you agree to have a neighborhood meeting and kind of iron this out? And they were agreeable. So hopefully that will be approved next month. But it's just behind the mosque there at 722 Bancroft Street. Like I said, that's a new one on me. I think that's going to be approved. And I saved the best for last. This Thursday is going to be an unpleasant day. At 2 p.m., you will have the Transportation Committee that is going to hear public testimony, probably angry testimony, on the $5 fee for each new license automobile license that is enacted. I see that meeting probably going more than 2 hours, and they're piggybacking that with a public safety committee, which should hopefully will start at 4 o'clock, and that's going to be the Toledo Police Impound Lot, Domestic Violence Report Data, and Gun Violence Prevention Initiative. Thursday is going to be a long day, so there's a lot going on at City Council. Thank you for listening.
Open session? Okay, we'll adjourn today's meeting. Thank you, everyone.